Hello, my name is Elsie Garcia. I am currently a student at Barry University School of Adult Continuing Education. My PowerPoint presentation today is Finding Common Ground on Zero Tolerance in Schools. The issue on hand is the epidemic rise of suspensions and expulsions in schools throughout the country. Many of these suspensions are for petty misdemeanor offenses. Therefore, the public problem identification and agenda setting will be to analyze and implement a new policy proposal to the Zero Tolerance Policy 1006.13, which was passed by legislature in 2002. In order to do so, we must begin to analyze the policy process in policy making. The implementation of the Zero Tolerance Policy was based on the rationale model, which requires a decision-making system that facilitates rationality in policy formation. The policy process steps are 1. Problem identification, what the problem is. 2. Agenda setting, focusing on the problem. And 3. Policy formulation, which is policy legitimation, implementation, and evaluation. Violent crimes in schools. School administrators are required to adopt a zero tolerance policy in their districts by identifying violence in schools and outcomes for students who commit crimes in schools to other students and adults. If you look at the slide, we all can recall the Columbine school shootings in 1999 and the North Illinois University school shooting in 2008, and others throughout the country. Let's look at how the Zero Tolerance Policy was implemented. The Florida Department of Education of Safe Schools Zero Tolerance Policy, passed in 2002, was due to increased violence in schools and public outcry. The policy also grew out of the Gun-Free Schools Act of 1994, which required states receiving federal funds to mandate the local school districts to expel students who bring weapons to school for a minimum of 1 year. This policy requires schools to promote a safe environment for all students, adopt a policy of zero tolerance, use alternatives to suspensions and expulsions. The zero tolerance policy is theoretically directed at students who misbehave intentionally. It also applies to students who have emotional problems or disabilities. It applies to students who bring weapons to school to hurt someone, students making a threat or false report, students possessing, using, transmitting, or under the influence of drugs, and drug selling. Today, 94% of schools now have zero tolerance policies for weapons and firearms, 87% for alcohol, and 79% for mandatory suspensions, expulsions for violence or tobacco. So the question on hand is finding common ground. Where's the common sense when it comes to petty offenses? Students being suspended and treated the same as those students who commit a serious violation solely for bringing in toy guns, plastic knives, aspirins, asthma inhaler, and other petty offenses as well. The statistics on suspension and expulsion rates indicate that the number of children suspended rose from 1.7 million in 1974 to 3.1 million in 2000, and still rising. The epidemic concern on the rise of suspensions and expulsions are heard by critics, local state constituents, the media, and the community, and are asking, is zero tolerance working? Schools are still less safe than those without such policies. Zero tolerance discipline attempts to send a message by punishing both major and minor incidents severely. Zero tolerance policies do not provide guidance or instructions and often breed student distrust towards adults. Suspended students suffer academically, and there are racial disparities in who is expelled. Here are viable alternative solutions. Build a respectful, caring learning environment. Implement a comprehensive character education program. Teach conflict resolution strategies. Screening and early identification. Teacher training in classroom management. Clear codes of conduct, and positive approaches to discipline. Recommendation: that legislature pass a new policy proposal in changing the written language on what is considered petty offenses and recommend alternative solutions as opposed to suspensions or expulsions. Administrators are to adhere to the zero tolerance policy in using good judgment on a case-by-case situation. And lastly, add a clause that no child should be treated differently because of race, ethnicity, color of skin, religious beliefs, or sexual orientation. Thank you very much for allowing me to present this issue to the table today.